Hi guys, it's Kelvin here from Discus. Welcome to the channel again. Remember to click the like and subscribe button. Today we want to talk about what it takes to successfully keep discus. Obviously discus is a beautiful fish. It lives for about 10 years to 15 years. So getting into discus is incredibly rewarding, but starting out can be very challenging. These are going to be some of the things you're going to need to be looking out for when you get into discus seriously and keeping it as a hobby.
What size of discus would you recommend?
For beginners, I definitely recommend to go as large as possible. The reason being is the larger the discus, the easier they are to keep. So there's a lot of misconception in the marketplace that smaller discus are a good way to start with. It's actually the contrary, because if you think about a small discus that you're buying from a shop, generally they're only about 6 to 8 months old. So when they're that young, they need a lot more care and cleaner water in order for them to grow healthily and also to be able to achieve max size. So traditionally in farms, when they're small discus like that, they would actually do close to 3 to 6 water changes a day in order for that fish to grow normal. In a hobbyist environment, that's going to be very, very challenging, especially for beginners where you are doing water changes once a week. That's not going to be anywhere near enough to be successful with discus. By getting larger discus, they've also got better antibodies as well to be able to handle fluctuations in pH, fluctuations in ammonia or nitrate in your water, and be able to successfully thrive in those environments.
How small or large a tank would you recommend?
Tank sizes, go as large as you could possibly afford. You need to allow approximately 40 litres per adult size discus. So you need to consider when you're getting into discus, do you want a pair, which means you can have a tank that is between 80 to 100 litres. But the moment you want to actually start to look at getting a larger group of discus, say 5, 6, which is the ideal quantity, you want to be looking at around about 200 to 240 litres as a bare minimum size for your discus.
Why are there cheap discus and expensive discus?
Okay, so there are different levels or grades of discus. Some farms are going to be able to sell you everything that they breed. That means there's a range of quality from very average or even below average discus all the way up to good quality discus. So Discus, we import discus from very high quality farms such as IP Discus, Jaeger Discus, Robert Lim, Li Qifeng. All of these breeders from overseas are very, very established breeders. Each of their discus is actually hand selected. Once we actually see it in hand from the farms, that's when we actually pick the fish or the stock to come to Australia. So therefore, discus that you generally buy from Discus are going to be of high quality.
What tank mates would you recommend to keep with discus?
There's two schools of thought. One is keep everything as discus. It means that looking after the discus is going to be the primary goal. It's also going to be the easiest for you. The reason being is when you're medicating or when you have problems in the tank, you're able to actually treat it as one species. The other thing also is you can actually keep the tank temperature at 30 degrees. By keeping the tank temperature at 30 degrees, you actually eliminate problems such as white spots, which generally happens for tanks that are below 30 degrees. Keeping discus at high temperature as well also increases their metabolism. It's going to bring out their color, and it's also going to help them have a much fuller appetite. The second school of thought is actually keeping up with lots of different types of tank mates. Now, the decision to go with lots of different types of tank mates is already going to be one that you're going to have to find a happy compromise. Because discus likes to be at 30 degrees, most other species can't handle 30 degrees. So you're going to have to keep angelfish, for example, together with discus. You're going to have to compromise and come to 28 degrees in the tank, or it's sometimes even less, 27, 28 degrees. Corridoras, for example, also on the lower end of the scale. So you want to be keeping at 28 degrees. You can have things like plecos, Raphael cats, black ghost knifefish, all of these different types of Congo tetras go very well with discus, but the minute you do mix these species together, your best bet is to keep them at 28 degrees overall, and that's also going to help with your plants as well, so you have greater choices of plants. So that's the benefit of keeping everything at 28. So we had a customer very, very eager with discus, really, really keen to get into it. He did everything right. However, he set up the tank, and within about 4 weeks, he wanted to fill that tank up with about 15 discus. He came in to see us, and we held the discus for him. We allowed him to take 5 discus at a time, and that worked incredibly well. However, unbeknownst to us, he was also putting other species of fish into the tank, and unfortunately these cichlids have actually killed every time we gave them 5 Discus. So I think it's incredibly important that you spend a little bit of time researching what type of fish goes well with Discus.
How can I learn to be a good discus keeper?
So one of the key things that you can use is a learning portal at Discus. You can go to the Learn section, and we've got a series of videos that starts out on how to do water changes, all the way through to what to feed your Discus, and also how to treat Discus and getting the right remedy to fix them up for you. Be very, very patient with the fish. Don't panic. And I think one of the big thing is when people see that their fish is not well, they immediately jump to medication, they immediately think of the worst. I've had customers say, I don't want my fish to die. Well, Discus are very strong fish and they can be treated, but you need to get the right advice. Thanks guys for joining us today. So at Discus, we're a specialized Discus store. This means we have the right food for you. We've got medication. If you have any problems at all, you can reach Vincent or I directly through social media, Facebook, and also we have one of the largest varieties of Discus in Australia. So come visit us in Sydney. We look forward to catching up with you guys again.